Lee Kuan Yew, he was able to get extraordinary results in a very relatively short amount of time, but he used some controversial methods. And if some of those same methods were practiced in the States, in the modern, contemporarily in the States, and here and now, a lot of people, there'll be protests and all types of crazy shit going on. Like, for instance, of the flogging. It'll be very difficult. We have some of the worst criminals in the world in the United States. Yeah, and still, it'll be very difficult to convince the public to accept floggings. Stuff like that. Finding people for spitting and all types of, it sounds crazy, but it gets results. In Singapore, it got results.
Think about it. One man, one generation, and an entire nation changed forever. Lee Kuan Yew isn't just a political figure. To many around the world, he is a symbol of what can be done when leadership is bold. In today's episode, I speak to Malcolm, an American who just discovered Singapore's founding father, Lee Kuan Yew, and what he says might just surprise you. So here is a man who's seen the Western world and Africa and just recently stumbled upon the story of Singapore.
Okay, my name is Malcolm Aaron. I was born and raised in the United States. I obtained a degree in anthropology with a minor in Africana studies from Hofstra University in New York. And in more recent times, I've been residing in the beautiful Republic of Ghana.
As an American, how do you see Singapore?
Yeah, as an American, I see Singapore as a very beautiful, technologically advanced country. The one with, let's say, a relatively high degree of digital surveillance.
What's your view on that?
As an American, we aren't really big fans of surveillance. But at the same time, I know that as the world becomes more digitized, those things, monitoring, so to speak, it's part and parcel of the system.
How did you first hear about Lee Kuan Yew, and what was your initial reaction?
Okay, I heard about him while doing some independent research on Singapore. And in terms of my initial reaction, was like, how is it that I never heard of Lee Kuan Yew before? Because he's accomplished something that right now, let's say like 100 countries in the world are trying to achieve. He accomplished it within a single generation, changing this country from third world to first world. So if he actually did it and everybody else is trying to do it, then I was like, why isn't it that I've ever heard of him? Amidst my studies of third world economics and things of the such.
What emotions do you feel when you compare Lee Kuan Yew's leadership to the leadership you see in your country?
It's mixed emotions, because Lee Kuan Yew, he was able to get extraordinary results in a very relatively short amount of time, but he used some controversial methods. And if some of those same methods were practiced in the States, in the modern, contemporarily in the States, and here and now, a lot of people, there'll be protests and all types of crazy shit going on. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, of the flogging. It'll be very difficult. We have some of the worst criminals in the world in the United States. Yeah, and still, it'll be very difficult to convince the public to accept floggings. Stuff like that. Finding people for spitting and all types of. It sounds crazy, but it gets results. Um, in Singapore, it got results.
What part of his vision, I mean Lee Kuan Yew's vision or leadership philosophy, do you wish American leaders would adopt today?
I wish they were able to like Lee Kuan Yew. I wish they were able to respect the necessity of cleanliness, of keeping the environment clean, and how that contributes to how that positively contributes to everything. Because in New York where I grew up, for instance, nobody, generally speaking, nobody gives a rat's ass about. Even I was reading the other day that some guy was on the road eating a rat, all types of crazy shit. So yeah, that's what I wish they would like be really, really, really serious about keeping the environment clean, not only in the well-to-do areas, but also in the ghettos and those kind of places.
Okay. So you really think the United States is not very clean as compared to
Not
Singapore?
no. If you compare New York City to Singapore, no. No. It's not very clean. When you look at the metropolitan areas and some of the remote areas where there's less population density and where residents tend to have a higher median income, yeah, those places are cleaner. But in terms of like comparing New York City to Singapore, no, you can't really make that comparison.
What would America or the world look like today if more countries had a Lee Kuan Yew running things in their countries?
Uh, you know what I'm gonna be from my perspective is more countries can't have a Lee Kuan Yew because one of the reasons he was able to do what he did is because Singapore is so small. You know what I mean? It's hard to imagine even let's say Lee Kuan Yew in Japan or China. China they some of the politicians they research his methodologies, but then if you try to implement those methodologies in China, they're going to say that like you're a communist oppressor. so so but if it's hard to imagine. It's hard for me to imagine more like Lee Kuan Yews everywhere. I don't know.
Okay.
That's just my perspective here.
What impressed you the most about Lee Kuan Yew's achievements?
What impressed me the most is his methodology. Not only the premium he put on cleanliness and orderliness, but also that he did it. He hasn't gone down in history as even though he was controversial, he hasn't gone down in history as like a dictator. And also the fact that he took everybody in the country into consideration, in a manner of speaking. Like he wanted to develop everybody. He wasn't focused on a particular class. How he took everybody into consideration, how the whole country developed instead of just a particular class. He was an upper class individual from an elite family, but he didn't just it wasn't like just a rich get richer type of situation. The whole country, he managed to develop the whole country and so based on what I know, everybody benefited.
If you had the chance to speak directly to Singaporeans, what would you say about their founding father?
I would imagine that maybe quite a few of them probably have some kind of beef with him. He was one of their own, and I know their perspective will be different. But I would say that they should appreciate him because he did something that no one else in history has done, and they're all, I mean, I don't know the how do you say it, the foot on the ground reality of the situation, but they have they all have access to home ownership and those kind of things, and that's not common in the world. So yeah, that's why I would say they should appreciate
You just talked of how common home ownership is in Singapore. What about in America?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that because just yesterday I was doing some research on the U.S. system. They have this de facto system called exclusivity zoning, which is illegal to discriminate against potential residents or tenants based on their income or race, but they practice it anyway. It's a widespread, almost universal practice. So the home ownership, yeah, I think, I know, to my understanding, some of the apartments or what have you may not be necessarily ideal to raise generations in, but still, it's an advantage that most people don't have.
So there's like a vast difference between what is happening in the United States and what is happening in Singapore.
Yes, yes, a vast difference. But the United States is trending in such a way that an increasing number of people can't afford home ownership.
Some say Lee Kuan Yew was too strict. What is your take on this criticism?
My take is that it's not an easy fix because sometimes you have to be like that in order to get results. Yeah, that's something I've become increasingly aware of as I age. Sometimes you have to be radical to get the results you want. So on one hand, yeah, he did some things that maybe maybe a person in power shouldn't be doing, such as advocating eugenics and stuff like that. But he got results. So I mean, it becomes a debate between comfort versus results. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
So basically, the end justifies the means, is it?
Yeah. I feel sort of that way. He hasn't. To my understanding, he wasn't going around killing people and stuff like that. So yeah, in his case, perhaps we can say the ends justify the means.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So my final question is this: what message do you have for Singaporeans? Do you have any message for them?
Yeah, I hope to come to your country soon. That's my message. And keep up the good work.
If you've been following this channel for a while, then you already know I'm a huge fan of Singapore. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There is just something special about this country. Where else in the world can you walk the streets late at night and feel completely safe? Where the trains run like clockwork, the streets are spotless, and the food. Don't even get me started on the food. But it's not just the cleanliness or efficiency. It is the story behind it all. A tiny island with no natural resources that rose to become one of the most admired nations on earth. That's not luck. That's vision. That's Lee Kuan Yew. So if you've never been to Singapore, let this be your sign. Go. Explore the culture, taste the food, walk through the parks, talk to the people, see what the world is talking about. And to my Singaporean viewers, you guys have built something truly world-class. And as someone looking in from the outside, I see it, I admire it, and I'll keep sharing your story with the world. If you found this conversation meaningful, inspiring, or even just eye-opening, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this video and leave a comment below. What do you think about Singapore's journey? What is your message to the next generation? Until next time, this is Kojo from Explore with Kojo, reminding you that some countries don't just exist, they inspire. And Singapore is one of them.